my name is Sylvia, and this is I Think, Therefore I Code, an introduction to Pseudocode. Before I start, I really want to thank all the Codeland organization for the opportunity, and I want to thank you for being here listening to me. So, you may be asking yourself right now, Sylvia, who are you, why you are here? And I want to quickly introduce myself. As I said before, my name is Sylvia España, and I work as an iOS developer junior in insurance company. So 1 year ago, I didn't code at all. I didn't know anything about development. But as I was working on digital marketing, but I decided to change careers and enroll myself into a coding bootcamp. I did a front end coding bootcamp, and after I finished my bootcamp, I decided to start looking for jobs. And I found this company, and they had a mentorship program for people that was starting in tech. I joined it, and they asked me if I wanted to be part of their mobile department, and I say, oh yes, I really want to, but there was a problem. I was a JavaScript programmer, a new front end. I didn't know anything about coding on iOS. So they decided to teach me, but there is like an emotional effort that no one talk about. I was already a junior, and now I was like a double junior, The little bit things that I knew, they weren't good enough for learning to code in mobile. So I had to start all over into my learning journey. But that problem helped me to find other ways to encounter code. And that's how I took upon Pseudocode. Before I speak about Pseudocode, I want to ask you what we programmers do. What is our main job? And the answer of that is that we solve problems. That's our real job. We have to develop algorithms that allow us to provide solutions to our company or to whoever is employing us. And algorithms allow us to define a series of steps that, when are executed, will result in the solution of a problem. I know algorithm is such like a big world, it's kind of scary, but I like to think of algorithms just as recipes. They are technical recipes. You have to do 1, 2, 3 in order to have 4, basically. So you have to put some ingredients into a bowl and mix them up and cook them in order to have food. Well, it's basically the same. And algorithms have universal characteristics, such as being precise. That means that we have to indicate exactly what we want to do. Let's take the cooking example. I can tell you have to take some flour, water, and oil, and you can mix them up, and well, you may have pizza or bread or cookies or even a cake, but that's not precise. If I want it to be precise, I have to say that you have to take this amount of flour, this amount of water, and this amount of oil, and mix this in this certain way in order to have the food that you want. Well, same with algorithms. We have to be really precise in order to have the solution that we need. They have to be organized because algorithms must specify the sequence in which the steps should occur. We can't bake a pizza before we make a dough, right? Well, this is exactly the same. They are finite, meaning that they have a beginning and an end, and the end is the solution. They are specific because they solve a concrete and defined situation or problem, and they are defined. Undefined means that the result of our algorithm is always the same. So you can execute an algorithm 100 times, and 100 times the result must be the same. Okay? So, wasn't this a talk about pseudocode? Why we are talking about algorithms? Well, algorithms and pseudocode have similar characteristics, right? But remember, the name of this is I think, therefore I code. So pseudocode is the thinking part of this, okay? It's something that happens before we start to code in order that we do it, well, maybe a little bit better. So pseudocode is a fake code, is no coding at all. It's a way to write down and express in natural language, non-formal language, the development of the idea, okay? That may help us to solve a problem. The format is very free. It can be developed with the amount of detail that we need or that better suit us. And as I said before, it's a prequel of our actual code. It is done before we start writing anything on our language as a way to organize our ideas, organize ourselves, and also to make future troubleshooting easier. So there are some perks of using pseudocode. First of all, as we have write down all the steps of the things that need to happen, it really helps us to anticipate possible errors in the data flow and actually help us define the steps that we must follow in the development of our algorithm. But one of the best things is that save us development time. And here I want to tell you something that I think is really important. Safe development time doesn't mean that faster is better. No, it means that we are using our time in a wisely way, okay? Because we already have the solution in a paper and then we only have, to translate it to JavaScript, Java, Swift, Kotlin, whatever language we are using. So, I said before that the structure of pseudocode is pretty flexible and that we may use the structure that better suits us. However, there are some guidelines that we may use and we could comply with in order to make it easier and that everyone understands what we are writing down. The first of all is the use of statements. The statements are basically the actions that are going to happen. So, as they are actions, they are written down in verbs in infinitive using the first letter in capital. So, it's basically enter, show, print, request, increase are the actions that we need to do internally or that the user have to do. So we have here an example. We can show a string that say enter a number of people and request the user the total people, show invoice amount and request that invoice amount, calculate because we have to do a mathematical operation and then store that solution, blah, 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 blah. So basically what we do is to write down the actions that we will need, okay? Then we have the use of conditionals and other structures. Pseudocode can be as complex as you want or as complex as you need because not all the problems are as easy as others. And we can use any statement or condition or structure that we need in our pseudocode. In this case, the general recommendation is to use the same word that we will use in our language just to avoid misunderstandings. So we could use a for each to loop on an array, an if else, a switch, or whatever we need. Here we have an example of we are asking the user to put a password, and if the password field is empty, we have to show the user, show please enter your password, or else we are going to storage the user password and show them that it was safe. So as you may see, it's really easy to understand. If you read it, you know exactly what you need to happen, and there is no code there. This is universal, right? Then we have a start and an ending. Just as algorithms, our pseudocode also have to start and end in a point, okay? But here there is really important thing to remember, and is that if we have a condition or we are using another structure that have to start and end in the middle of the whole pseudocode, we should write that down. So you can see on the line number 9 that there is an ending for the if-else condition, and on line 17 you have the ending of the whole pseudocode. Okay, this will make our pseudocode so much easier to understand when we are dealing with these complex problems. So here's a little demo of me actually writing a pseudocode for a hackathon I was part of. Um, as you can see, there are some things that are really easy to catch. The language is very simple. I have some statements in infinitive, such as create, show, check. I have, they are finite. I have a start. I have an ending. But then here comes the flexible part of pseudocode. As you may see, I have done a little commentation on my pseudocode. For example, you may see that on check format, there is a start. In ask projects, I have an array and another star. And in show send button, I have another star. Why did I did this? Because this means for me, Sylvia España, that I'm going to write a second layer of pseudocode just to go further in that specific point. So here I have a start projects. This is another pseudocode that derivates from the show project. Okay, so here I say, well, I need to ask the user the project name, and I have a condition. If the project name is empty, I have to show an alert and my condition ends. Then I have to show a plus symbol, and I have another condition in there saying if the user clicks on the symbol, I have to show a new project name text field. This ends, I store all of this in an array, and my pseudocode is ended. So I call this piecewise code, meaning that it's a second layer of pseudocode just to further detail, to go a little bit deeper in things I know I'm gonna need when I start coding. And I also use conditionals in here. I actually use two conditionals. I end them very clearly just to be sure that in the future I don't mix them up or I do things wrong. So some of the power of this is that if I give these two things to all of you, I am pretty sure that you can translate this into your own code. And that's why this helped me so much, because I didn't use Swift when I started coding on mobile. But when I have this, I already know what I have to do. And then I only have to, put on a technical challenge. If I don't know how to show an alert, I already know, I can Google it, I can ask my mentor, I can look for documentation of how to show an alert. But the solution, I already know how to do this. I only need to learn how to translate it. So how would you do it? I want you to leave this and ask yourself, how could I use pseudocode in my daily basis just to be better at my job, just to make things a little bit easier and a little bit better? I want you to remember that there are no rights or wrongs. You can use pseudocode as it better suits you. If your team already uses pseudocode as an approach to the solutions, ask them which are their guidelines, and if they don't have any, find your own style. I have my layer style, but I'm sure you may find a way to use this and make your life a little bit easier. I really want to thank you all for hearing me. I will be around for some questions, but if you want to reach me out in any of my social media, please do so. Thank you very much.